What is up, math superstars? So in this edition of Mr. Peterson Presents, I'm bringing to you how to solve two-step equations now. So what I'm going to do is we're going to cover some different examples and the ways to do this. And so here I've given some steps on the right-hand side that are going to be handy-dandy to know. First step is we're going to locate the side that has the variable on it. And we're going to use inverse operations to isolate the variables. So just like we did in one-step equations where the opposite of addition was subtraction, the opposite of subtraction was addition, the opposite of multiplication was division, and the opposite of division is multiplication. We're going to use those inverse operations to get x by itself. So here's what it's going to look like here. So we're going to find out our first example here is 3x plus 1 is equal to 7. So here, everything that's going to happen is going to be on the left-hand side of our equation because we identified our variable as x. So our very first step is we need to get x, well, we got two steps now. We got to get x by itself. So in order to do this, we're going to tackle the addition or subtraction that's happening here first. And so what we're going to do is the opposite of adding 1 here is subtracting 1. So let's go ahead and subtract 1 from both sides. What we're left with now, instead of x, we're left with 3x. We bring down our equal sign, and then we have 7 minus 1, which is 6. You can go ahead and pause right there and rewind if you need to kind of go back and figure out what I just did. But what we did is now we have 3x is equal to 6. So we just did our first step is we subtracted 1 from both sides. Our second step here to get x by itself, so we have, here's our variable x. We have 3x is multiplication, so the opposite of multiplying or the inverse of multiplying is division. So let's go ahead and divide by 3 on both sides. Our 3's cancel out, so we're left with x. We bring down our equal sign, and then 6 divided by 3 is 2. So now let's go ahead and check our work here. So in order to check, we're going to replace x for the value of 2. So let's go ahead and rewrite the equation here with 2 there. So now let's go ahead and solve everything on the left-hand side using order of operations here. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 equals 7. 6 plus 1 is 7 equals 7. So if right here, if these two numbers are the same, that means we did our work correctly in solving two-step equations. So let's cover some more examples here. So we have example number 2. So we have r divided by 4 minus 12 is equal to negative 5. So what we do is we're going to locate our variable. Our variable is r here. So everything that we're going to do here is on the left-hand side of our equation to figure out to get r by itself. So our first step here is we need to get r by itself, we're going to add 12 to both sides. So we're left with, we're going to bring all of this down right here. So we're left with r over 4. We bring down our equal sign. And then negative 5 plus 12 gives us positive 7. So there's our first step. So now we're going to go ahead and locate our variable again for the second step. So we have r divided by 4, so that means we're going to multiply 4 to both sides of our equation here. So the 4's so our 4's cancel out, so we're left with r. We bring down our equal sign, and then 7 times 4 is 28. So now let's go ahead and check our work. We're going to substitute for our variable here, so well, that should be r, sorry, not x. R is our variable. So r equals 28, so we're going to fill that in for r. So we have 28 over 4 minus 12 is equal to negative 5. and then we just do some order of operations. And so let's go ahead and do our division first. 28 divided by 4 is 7, minus 12 is equal to negative 5. And then we keep going. 7 minus 12 is negative 5. So negative 5 equals negative 5. That means we did our work correctly. So here's example number 3. We're just giving some different examples here in this video. For you to follow along at any time, if you feel like that you're stuck, lost, or confused, and you've rewound this video twice now, you can raise your hand, come see us. Come see me, or if there's a co-teacher in the room, be more than happy to help you out, to give you some further steps here to help you. So what we have here, example number 3, is we have 7k minus 14 is equal to 42. So our first step here is we're going to add 14 to both sides of our equation. So here we're going to bring down 7k, bring down our equal sign, and then we're going to do our operation right here. So 42 plus 14 gives us 56. So there's our first step. Now we need our second step. So our second step now is we're going to divide both sides by our coefficient of 7. 7. So we're left with k being equal to 56 divided by 7 gives us 8. So now let's go ahead and check our work here. So we know that our variable should be k, not x. So k equals 8. So let's go ahead and fill that in for k. So if 7 times 8 minus 14 gives us 42. So in order to check, let's do some order of operations here. So 7 times 8 is 56, minus 14 equals 42. And when we go ahead and do our math here, so the ones place is a 2, 5 minus 1 is 4. So 42 equals 42, so that checks out. Last but not least, we have this example here. We have negative 12 equals 24 plus 4b. And so for problems like this, some of you might have the urge to flip this so the variable will be on the left-hand side, but what I'm going to ask you to do is to practice with the variable on the right-hand side. This will help us when we do one-step inequalities. So what we have is we're going to identify our variable. Our variable is b. So the operations, the inverse operations, are going to come from the right-hand side of our equation here. So our first step is we're going to subtract 24 from both sides of our equation here. Let's go ahead and subtract 24 from both sides. So we're going to bring this whole thing down. 4b. We bring down our equal sign. I know it feels weird to have b on the right hand side, but keep it there. It's okay. And then we have negative 12 minus 24. So that's the same as saying, if we have negative 12 minus 24, that's the same as saying negative 12 plus the negative 24. So let's go ahead and add those two negatives together. That gives us negative 36. So now let's go ahead and do our second step of our two-step equation problem here. So now let's go ahead. We have 4b, so we're going to be dividing by 4 on both sides. So we're left with b. We bring down our equal sign. And then we have negative 36 divided by 4 gives us negative 9. So now let's go ahead and solve or check to see, I'm sorry. So we're going to check to see if what we have is correct. So we had b is equal to negative 9. Let's go ahead and fill that in here to check our work. And we're going to use order of operations now on the right-hand side to check. So 4 times negative 9 is negative 36 plus 24 is equal to negative 12. And let's go ahead and simplify this one more time. So 24 plus negative 36 is negative 12 is equal to negative 12. So that checks out. So if you have problems, if you're stuck, lost, or confused, Please go back and watch one-step equations if you need that. But this is two-step equations. Now go ahead and try some of the classwork examples here that you're given in class, or if you're watching this online and you're in Google Classroom, right underneath that should be some example links that you can click on that will help you out. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your class.